Good evening, members of the class of 2024. I am Provost Elisabeth Mermann-Jozwiak, the Chief Academic Officer at Bucknell. It is my distinct pleasure to officially welcome you to our learning community. Whether you're living on campus or learning remotely this semester, we are so glad that you have chosen to join us. Convocation is a very special university tradition that heralds the opening of the academic year. For the class of 2024, it marks the beginning of one of the most transformational times of your life. Each of you worked so very hard to get into Bucknell, and we are thrilled to offer you opportunities to discover your passions, to write your own story, and we can't wait to get started. Today's Convocation celebration is certainly a bit different from our usual event as we continue to contend with a global pandemic. I wish I could meet each of you face to face today and shake your hands. But even though the spread of COVID-19 has limited our ability to gather together, please know that it does not diminish the joy for your new adventure. Tomorrow, you will begin a lifelong journey of incredible growth, guided by your professors, who have always been an important part of Convocation. But because they cannot join us in person this evening, I would like to take the opportunity to talk a little bit about them and about their role in this new chapter of your life. Your professors chose Bucknell not only because they're dedicated to the enduring value and richness of the liberal arts tradition. They're also invested in the teacher-scholar model. They're committed to sharing their knowledge with students in the classroom, in the laboratory, in the field, and in the studio, in addition to pursuing their research and scholarship in their fields. In fact, students and professors share many of the same reasons for choosing Bucknell. Like you, they value the opportunity for highly personalized learning in small classes. And they too sought the opportunity to build strong personal relationships through mentoring, not only in academics, but also in life. Our shared commitment to these ideals distinguishes a Bucknell experience and creates a strong community. Your professor's dedication to your academic and personal success offers you a rare and wonderful opportunity for truly meaningful growth. So throughout your Bucknell journey, I urge you to seek out your professor's expertise and their guidance. You may wonder how to do this and how to navigate these first few weeks of college. And I'm going to make it easy for you by sharing 3 simple tips. First, be assured that your professors are not intimidating people. You're going to see them using the fitness center, browsing at the bookstore, and picking up pizza. If you see me taking out my recycling, I hope you'll come and introduce yourself. We all get to know each other very well in Lewisburg. Even in courses taught remotely this semester, you will quickly learn that your faculty are invested in your success and are very accessible. Second, go to office hours, and not just the day before exams. Beyond mastering course materials, it's well worth your time to develop relationships for other reasons. Professors can help you explore new ideas, spark a research interest, and perhaps even inspire your choice of a major, your minor, or a career. Some continue their mentoring relationships with students for years after graduation. You have a fantastic opportunity here to gain all sorts of knowledge through their guidance. Third, if you need support, please reach out immediately. The transition from high school to college is intense. And given the additional stress related to the pandemic, we all must look out for each other now more than ever. No matter what you're struggling with, your professors have seen it before. More importantly, they want to help and get you to the resources that you need. So whether you're watching this from campus or halfway around the world, please know that we're always here to support you. When you head to class tomorrow, remember, you've got this. As a class entering college in strange and challenging times, you have already proven yourselves to be resilient and resourceful. You're already true Bucknellians, and I look forward to seeing all of your wonderful accomplishments in the next 4 years. I wish you all the best. And now I am pleased to introduce the chair of Bucknell's faculty, Professor Coralynn Davis.
Greetings, new Bucknellians. In my 20+ years here at Bucknell, I have traveled for learning with students to such far-flung places as Nepal, Morocco, Nicaragua, New Orleans, and Cape Town, South Africa, as well as to the towns and neighborhoods right here in central Pennsylvania, where there is much to surprise, to delight, to disturb, and to support. I want students to get a close-up view of how things work, and sometimes don't work, in the many real worlds around us. This year, my involvement with Bucknellians took a radical turn. I became what we call chair of the faculty. No, I have not become a piece of furniture, and I have not stopped being interested in helping to ensure that students have transformative educational experiences. I was elected by the professors you are about to meet in your classes in order to represent their ideas and perspectives in relation to how things operate here at Bucknell. That might sound boring or irrelevant to some of you. The good news is that what unifies your professors, Bucknell's faculty, who are otherwise a pretty eclectic set of people, is our dedication to providing you with the best education possible and to ensuring your all-around well-being as Bucknellians. I've been a keen and proud observer of the Herculean efforts your professors have been putting in this summer in order to make this an excellent fall semester for you. So when I say, as chair of the faculty, I am working in the interest of your professors, what I really ultimately have in mind is you. And in that light, I am thrilled to have the opportunity to welcome you to Bucknell on behalf of my faculty colleagues, your professors. It may seem weird or disingenuous or just plain dumb to hear me say you are starting college at an especially exciting time. After all, you've probably heard quite enough about such bummers as testing sticks being shoved up your nose, distant seating in the classroom, takeout meals, and the absence of intercollegiate sporting events. It could well feel to you that college as you had originally envisioned it is simply not going to be a reality this fall. You're probably right. And yet, you are the ones who, unlike any group of incoming first-year students before you, are going to figure out how to thrive in this unprecedented context. You, your classmates, your teammates, your roommates, your clubmates, together and individually, and with the support of Bucknell's remarkable faculty and staff, you are going to be recreating the world, even as the world itself is shifting in sometimes wrenching ways. Let me explain what I have in mind when I say that even or particularly in the current context, great excitement awaits. I'm an anthropologist, which means I'm interested in how, across place and time, groups of humans have created ways of living in response to the environments in which we've found ourselves. Humans have lived in wildly different climates, speaking completely different languages, in formations varying from small nomadic groups that forage for food and have no formal offices of leadership, to multicultural democracies rife with inequalities, to fascist dictatorships where people on threat of death have feared to speak out. Each and every one of these societies has encountered environmental, social, political, and other challenges that force them to change. In some cases, societies have crumbled or splintered. Other societies became colonizers or were on the violent receiving end of colonization. Still others fought off their colonizers with stunning liberatory results. Some came up with amazing technological interventions or shifted their most fundamental cosmological beliefs in response to a change in the environment. Such change to a marked shift in the world is, in fact, inevitable. I'm actually excited for you because you will forever be known as the generation that came of age in the COVID-19 pandemic, an enormous environmental change. And despite intensive trouble and loss, you are the ones who will have met this new challenge with purpose, hope, and creativity. Regardless of what you end up majoring in, be it, for instance, theater, biology, sociology, chemical engineering, or global management, what you discover, create, struggle with, and even solve will be marked by this moment, pushing you to think and feel new things. Whether you are responding in a new manner to an old text, challenging a received scientific truth, or figuring out new ways for humans to live with compassion for others and in harmony with the rest of the natural world, even possibly including viruses. You are going to change things. This is why I am so excited for you and excited to meet you, Bucknellian to Bucknellian. Big disruptions such as the pandemic and anti-racist social movement inevitably cause seismic internal human changes as well, change that happens in the heart and the head. Such inner change comes with growing pains. You will feel these pains, perhaps starting right now, or maybe starting back in March, or much further back with the unjust structural arrangements and incidents that have ultimately led to the Black Lives Matter movement in its latest phase. Sometimes growing pains feel like a welcome stretch, sometimes like an unwelcome affront. You will not only be the recipient of, but will also actively engage these growing pains over the next several semesters. You may even, I hope, become a growing pain for the rest of us in the many years to come. The older generation may quite literally call you a pain, or worse, crazy or criminal. Some of us will suggest you are ruining things which were just fine the way they were, thank you very much. We might ask you to slow your roll, not to demand so much, so fast. Listen to us. Listen because we elders do know a thing or two. After all, it wasn't that long ago that we were the young pains in the patooties to the generation that came before us. Let us tell you our stories, but listening carefully is not the same as believing or succumbing to someone else's interpretation of the world. Figure out what our stories and the other stories you encounter in your Bucknell education mean to you in your own context. Whatever you do, don't let us stop you. We need you to remake the world, even as the world and the education you claim here leaves its mark on you. Again, a hearty welcome to Bucknell. Now, get ready to rumble.
Good evening, members of our distinguished faculty and staff, and welcome Bucknell University transfer students and the class of 2024. This night is obviously a break from tradition, though despite the accommodations we have made, I urge you to reflect on and appreciate the magic of this moment. Yes, we have been forced to set aside some of the pageantry and ceremony, regrettably, but this official inauguration as members of the Bucknell community remains a defining moment in your lives. You are about to embark on a path that leads to the discovery of new knowledge and new perspectives. You will be presented unfamiliar challenges, and with the help of our faculty and staff and each other, you will find ways to overcome them. You will change, and you will grow. You will find your trajectory in life. And thanks to the unique benefits of a liberal arts education, you will gain the power to alter the course of that trajectory at will, allowing you to always explore new passions, chase new dreams, or dedicate your energies and talents to more urgent causes. Most importantly, as a class, as a community, you will find ways to connect and to bond and to thrive. Together, you will discover the hard-won inspiration that conceals itself in moments of difficulty and uncertainty. And while it can be hard to see it now, I promise you that you will make positive memories here at Bucknell that will stay with you throughout your lives. Now, I typically don't need to tell Bucknell students to have a good time, but this may be the first time in 11 years that I felt compelled to encourage students to do just that. That is, of course, to safely and responsibly have a good time. But I do urge you to find joy in your years here. It is essential to your success and your personal well-being. All of us at this university will be working hard to make this time memorable for you. Traditionally, I have used my convocation address to encourage students to not view their years at Bucknell as a haven from the problems of the world. Instead, I have encouraged them to seek out the world's problems and to do their parts to help solve them. This year is obviously quite different. You have arrived on campus in the midst of a global crisis from which there is no haven whatsoever. We have no choice as to whether we will engage this crisis or not. We are forced to act. Every time we go out into the world, we are forced to act in ways big and small. At times, the weight of that responsibility may feel heavy, but I want you to find strength in the fact that you are about to dedicate the next years of your life to the pursuit of knowledge at a time when we are yearning for educated minds, informed opinions, and perspectives shaped by fact, evidence, and truth. There is also a desperate need for dynamic, adaptive, well-rounded thinking, the type of thinking nurtured by the liberal arts. We'll need it to carry us through the complexity of this time. Now and ever in the future, we will lean on those leaders whose worldviews and intellect are as deep as they are wide. Leaders who are students of history, who appreciate the moments in our past that can guide our actions today and give us hope. Leaders schooled in business, finance, and ethics, who understand the tides of our economy and how to share our collective resources when they are needed most and where they can do the most good. Leaders who have studied psychology and sociology, who can help address the emotional toll of a society separated by masks and social distancing, and who can weigh the costs and benefits of every decision to open or to close, to come together or to stay apart. To that end, we need leaders with an abiding appreciation for science, who ultimately put their faith in conclusions that withstand the trials of repeated criticism, testing, and experimentation. Last year, I shared the words of chemist Louis Pasteur, who, more than 100 years ago, convinced the world of the radical idea that germs are the cause of contagious diseases. Considering this particular challenge we face today, I thought it was appropriate to evoke his words once again. In an address to his colleagues, Pasteur advised them to worship the spirit of criticism. Without it, he argued, everything is fallible. When schools and businesses began to close in March in response to the pandemic, it seemed that this challenge would define this moment in history. Then, suddenly, 2 months later, we watched in horror as a white police officer murdered a black man named George Floyd by kneeling on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. For 2 minutes and 53 seconds of that time, Mr. Floyd was unresponsive. Before losing consciousness, he cried out for his late mother, knowing he was about to die. As a nation, we wondered again, would there be justice? If America had come close to truly fulfilling the vision of its founders, a vision for equality across all of humanity, this question would not come with such an uncertain answer. Unfortunately, our nation has repeatedly let down, held back, and purposefully undercut underrepresented communities, particularly Black America. We have much more progress to make in forming that more perfect union. This summer, the Bucknell staff and faculty actively worked to meet and rise above the expectations of this moment, to respond to the righteous calls for justice. For our part, we are establishing new permanent roles in our university's leadership and creating institutional channels of communication that will elevate the often unheard diverse communities on our campus. We are making systemic changes too through employee training and improvements to the curriculum that will make embracing and understanding racial diversity an integral part of our daily lives. We are also dedicating finances to support an anti-racism fund to sustain these important initiatives. We cannot simply offer one-time responses to the initial calls for action. As a community, we must find the moral courage to no longer attack racial justice in incremental steps. We should pause when we hear ourselves think or say, "This may be the stance we should take, but it will offend some people." Rather, we should demand of ourselves and each other a more just declaration. This will offend some people, but it is the right thing to do. In President Barack Obama's recent eulogy of Congressman John Lewis, the president told the story about the congressman when he was just about the age of so many of you. Think about that. The year was 1960. The Supreme Court had recently ruled that segregation of interstate bus facilities was unconstitutional. So Congressman Lewis and Bernard Lafayette bought 2 tickets for a Greyhound bus ride through the South to test this new ruling. As President Obama told it, at every stop through the night, apparently the angry driver stormed out of the bus and into the bus station, and John and Bernard had no idea what he might come back with or who he might come back with. Nobody was there to protect them. There was no camera crews to record the events. The president put the actions of the 2 young men into perspective, saying, John was only 20 years old, but he pushed all 20 of those years to the center of the table, betting everything, all of it, that his example could challenge centuries of convention and generations of brutal violence and countless daily indignities suffered by African Americans. As someone who grew up witnessing the racial strife of the 1960s, watching the progress of civil rights legislation being met by bitter, unfounded hatred, I find myself incensed watching so much of our history repeat itself now, this many decades later. At the same time, while some of the societal anguish of my youth has returned, so have the reminders of humankind's boundless ability to dream and to explore. My 10-year-old son has taken an interest in space exploration, just as I did watching the Gemini and Apollo missions. I so vividly remember watching that one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. This summer, while life here at home was so embroiled in conflict, my son and I watched our world demonstrate its fullest potential beyond the safety of our atmosphere. On July 30th, NASA launched the Perseverance rover. Perseverance, I love that name, especially now. For the next 7 months, it will fly through space before landing on Mars, where it will spend a year recording new and fascinating data. Increasingly, we take achievements like this for granted, but consider the challenges of this mission. Earth and Mars are 2 celestial bodies floating in space hundreds of millions of miles apart. There is no earthly comparison for that distance. The planets are constantly moving, rotating, and revolving. And yet, NASA set out to launch this 2,200-pound rover on the tip of a rocket traveling more than 24,000 miles per hour with the goal of not only reaching Mars, but landing the rover safely in a crater only 28 miles wide. Simply astonishing. Of course, while this mission should leave every one of us in awe, I'd argue it still doesn't compare to the risk, to the spectacle, and to the wonder of taking humans to space. 3 days after Perseverance left Earth, 2 astronauts returned. After 2 months at the International Space Station, the astronauts climbed back into their spacecraft, owned and operated by a private company, which is a first, and undocked while orbiting the Earth at 22 times the speed of sound. The speed and friction of their atmospheric re-entry raised the exterior temperatures of the spacecraft to more than 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Miraculously, they splashed down in the Gulf of Mexico at a gentle 15 miles an hour, safe and sound. As hard as these last few months have been, and as challenging as the next few months will be, achievements like these give me profound hope. they should give you hope too. Humankind will be successful in creating a vaccine that will bring an end to this pandemic. Together, we can end the divisions, strife, and violence caused by systemic racism. With an education and with a commitment to lifelong learning, and with open minds and open hearts, there is no limit to what we can accomplish together. And if you're wondering, who will lead the achievements of the future? Who will create the world we wish to see? I would answer, that's precisely why you are here. Because tonight is only the first step. Congratulations again to the class of 2024. We cannot wait to see what you accomplish. Thank you and good night.